Yeah, and so coming up next, we got Gallon versus Firebat. Two warriors banned on both sides, or sorry, protected, and priest banned on both sides. The warrior on Firebat's end, though, is a Highlander warrior, which is a little bit of an unusual choice. We featured it yesterday, but we didn't get to see any of its gameplay today, or that day, but maybe today we will, given that the warriors were protected. The Highlander warrior, of course, not a true Highlander, not a true singleton deck. I've gotten a few questions from fans saying, what do you mean by Highlander? It means that you play one copy of everything, except Firebat chose to put one additional copy of Warpath, one additional copy of Seal Block, and one additional copy of Brawl. Pretty interesting.
It is. So in testing, Zephyrus was active on average like halfway through my deck. I never once in the 15 or so games that I played of it, when I had Zephyrus in my opening hand, was able to activate it like in time to have a meaningful impact. Maybe you can manipulate that if you're like keeping Warpath or Shield Block or Brawl. But Brawl is the only argument for a keep, and only in very specific matchups. So it is just in there for some gas. And we are going to see a Warrior Mirror. And oddly enough, I might even give this Warrior Mirror as a favor to Firebat. Firebat has a natural Elysiana in his deck. And at the same time has the Faceless Manipulator plus Useful Brewmaster in order to get a second Elysiana from his opponent, assuming he plays his first. Now, that could be offset by the fact that Gallon has more consistency. He also has the Taunt package. It seems like he has a better ability to pressure. But that also could be offset by the fact that Firebat has Zephyrus. So if a board gets out of control, he has another emergency tool. It's a very weird matchup. I'm not sure who's favored. It's a Warrior Mirror, but not really. It's weird.
It is a Warrior Mirror, although I feel like one player has a lot more utility, and then one player has just a lot more defense.
Okay.
Firebat has like the utility cards, like he's got like the Silence, and he's got like the Super Collider, and he's got like the Face Manipulator. And Gallon just has the traditional like meat and bones of like taunt minions and Armageddillo.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like the list side by side, there's not that much like in the way. Like Gallon also has a Silence. He doesn't have a Super Collider, but it's not that great of a card in the matchup. There's a Tiamat on Firebat's side, which maybe you can equate to like a Armadillo, but not as good. Armageddillo, but not as good. I don't know. It's weird. Friday was Friday the 13th. So I'm just spooked in general. This whole weekend I've just been spooked.
You didn't have a good Friday the 13th, DJ.
No, I didn't.
Well, you weren't casting.
I wasn't casting, but I can't. I think maybe that's why I was out of my fun.
Oh, got it. You just missed me and Grandmasters that much.
I did.
Great. Well, I guess we're currently waiting for the players. I think Firebat took a brief bathroom break just before, so we're going to get started in just a second. Coming up after Gallon versus Firebat, we're going to have Nalgedon versus Strifecrow and Muzzy versus Purple. Nalgedon on top of the standings, but Strifecrow with a big win over Firebat yesterday. Can he continue that momentum, given that, one, he is still just barely ahead of ETC for the standings, but he is one game ahead now. And two, if he wins, now he's 2 games ahead, and he'd be doing it with a lineup that's so unusual. He has no warrior, he has an aggro warrior, and he has no priest. And he's playing mech paladin. That's weird. Then we have Muzzy versus Purple.
It's spooky.
Then we have Muzzy versus Purple, with Muzzy bringing Reno Mage this week, and Muzzy with a win here would put himself in top 2 for his division, which would mean a Radiant dominant field. Saiyan at number 1, Muzzy tied at number 1/2.
Yeah, we're guaranteed to have at least a 3-way tie for second, since obviously Firebat and Gallon play each other, and Muzzy and Purple play each other. So 2 of those players are going to be 5-3. If Nalgedon loses to Strifecrow, we have a 4-way tie for first, with Nalgedon, Eddie, and whoever wins the 2 matchups of the 4-3 players.
Right. It's almost the inverse of the other division, how ETC is 1-7, and everyone above him has like this tie. And Saiyan's like 7-1, and everyone below him is like in a tie scenario.
Yeah.
But you can see that Division B is all played out. So Bloody Face and Frozen tied for second. Amnesiac and Monsanto tied, but I believe Amnesiac's given the head-to-head edge for now until we do tiebreakers. Then Zalay, PNC, and Race. And PNC and Race fighting for relegation. That's going to be a tough one. And then I'm assuming that in that situation, tiebreakers are the same as they are for playoffs.
Yeah, it's the higher number is higher in the standings, which means the lower number gets the boot. It is a really rare situation of the tiebreaker 2 also being tied, which did not happen across any region last season, as far as I'm aware. But the rule for a third tiebreaker is pretty vague. It's just, depending on the situation, a match or tournament that is decided at the time by Blizzard.
So they might just play a final series to determine.
They might play a series.
That's cool.
They could bring it down to one
so
game.
So Blizzard reserves a right to consider tiebreaker 3 any kind of competition.
Yes.
Well, I think it'd only be fair to make them play a best of 17.
Only
for $10,000 in a trophy.
Yeah. Well, how many matches do they play across the season? They play 14 matches.
Yeah.
So the average number of games across 14 matches, it's 2.5, so 35 games. They play a best of 35. It would only be fair.
Yeah. I assume so. All right, let's go into the Warrior versus Warrior. Hope y'all are ready for this. It's been a hot minute. It's been a hot minute. We've been spoiled by Priest versus Priest, Mage versus Mage, where the games end super quickly.
This kind of a funny opening since Gallon looks like he's playing the Highlander deck. Since he misses one drop and has Militia Commander and Spellbreaker in his opening hand, whereas Firebat only has one Eternium Rover and only has one Frightened Flunky, but hit them 1 and 2.
And he hits the Megadillo too. Off that Frightened Flunky.
Yeah. Now he doesn't have that consistency of taunts. He doesn't even have Tomb Warden. He has Ziliax, Hecklebot, and Frightened Flunky as his only natural taunts. Tiamat can get taunt, but it does not get buffed by our Megadillo.
So Weapons Project, while it might look good to just take out the 2/2, it actually ends up making Firebat get value off of things like Harrison Jones. Granted, it could still only just be one card.
Yeah.
In this position, Gallon can also just simply go for a coin 4 into 4, and I think he's going to have to start piecing together a curve, given how slow and defensive he's been so far. Not going to be stopped, though. I wonder if Firebat's just going to commit to the tempo line. Yep. It's what earned him a world championship back in 2014. Playing things for tempo and being aggressive.
Yeah.
And I like that he's pushing the issue. Even has an early Dr. Boom Mad Genius. Very fitting card name for a player that is piloting him.
Good Mad Genius?
Yeah. Well, we used to call Firebat the Mad Scientist.
Defend the gates!
Back in the day. So it's only kind of appropriate that he's now the Mad Genius. Counter attacking, playing around the Harrison. Wonder if Firebat's just thinking about the 1 damage Dino versus the 1 draw Harrison. Harrison drawing 1 card is still pretty fine because it doesn't make the fatigue battle matter too much, and you get this 5/4, and you shut down their weapon. So I think this is a minor thing.
Yeah, and in theory, Firebat does have the advantage in fatigue anyway.
Right, because he has the Faces Manipulator.
Faces Manipulator, Youthful Brewmaster. So as long as he doesn't get into a situation where it falls too far behind on tempo, because that's a huge tempo loss. Because you're spending an entire turn to develop a 3/2 and put a 9-mana card in your hand, and you're not actually dealing with your opponent's. But it does give him that extra fatigue.
Megadillo can come down, but no minions to buff up. Gallon's like, wow, thought they nerfed that. But no animation's going to proc, which means that Gallon's like, oh, okay, no Ziliax, no 2 more. He's like, huh.
He's like, huh. But then he's going to sit back and realize Firebat barely has any taunts in his deck.
Yeah.
It's Ziliax and Hecklebot. So it gives him some information that Ziliax and Hecklebot are not in hand.
mean, this looks like a great snip snap opportunity. He also drew Dr. Boom Mad Genius himself, so we're gonna have a pretty equalized playing field here.
Yep.
What you want, which is apparently I'm becoming a rapper from the 90s. Which is what you want to see. You don't want to see one player just being blown out because they drew their hero card and the other player didn't.
Megadillo sounds so sad when it dies.
It's a robot. It doesn't have
No,
feelings.
it's not a robot. It's a living creature with armor. It's a beast. It has a beast tag.
One factor to consider too is Firebat actually does have aggressive options to close the game, and the primary thing to look at is Zephyrus. Right?
Yep.
He does have the ability to just like Zephyr generate Tyrion. I have yet to see Zephyrus offer the elusive Jiraxis. People have said that that's possible, but I still have yet to find a way in a scenario to make Zephyrus could convince him to offer me a Jiraxis.
So you have to Geppetto the Zephyrus or reduce its cost in some way and play it at 1 health for 1 mana.
Are you sure it would do that?
I'm pretty sure it would give you Jiraxis in that spot.
I feel like it'd still give you Tyrion and like Guardian of Kings.
If you're at 1 health, no. It would give. If you had 9 mana available playing Zephyrus. Nah, I'd probably give you Max Dispel.
As we clearly see, Zephyrus never gives you Mass Dispel, TJ. Gallon fighting for the board. Wise trades to maximize his board presence.
Yep.
Weapons project for Firebat comes into play here. Looking like a Siamach opportunity.
It's a pretty good one, too.
Do you think that he just ends up picking Divine Shield Rush, or do you think there's any deviation from this?
Divine Shield and Rush and then hit the Restless Mummy. Seems like the best to me. You could go for Divine Shield Wind Fury and kill the Restless Mummy and force Gallon to... like, it's more of a punish that way. That actually might be better. Divine Shield Wind Fury.
Right. Definitely picking Divine Shield. It's about Rush or Wind Fury.
Because second Dynamatic doesn't punish it.
Silence
Oh
means
no,
he's
second Dynamatic would punish it. Because the Dynamatic is first to deal damage, so this is better to just play the board. This plays around Dynamatic.
Coin Dr. Boom Mad Genius, but Firebat gets the 6/6 to remove the armor. Kaboom thrown out of the way. It's a good outcome for Gallon. Now it's time to return it.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Wow.
double delivery drone.
True mirror match.
So now we have a great opportunity to see over a large sample size how the mech Discover has affected it.
Wow.
Boom! Look at that! No warrior mechs.
Well, Mechathune isn't exactly something you want to pick up early.
It's a 10-10 with Rush.
Sure, but you can get a 6-mana 5/6 with Rush, which is comparable stats, but more efficient, so you can use other things.
This place is scary.
Gallon just wants a 10-10. I mean, it is a lot of stats, the Rush. Also, I'm, Frightened Flunky discovered a Frightened Flunky, so I guess nothing really changed at all. Delivery Drone still provided Mechathune, you still get Flunky off Flunky, you still get our Megadillo off Flunky. TJ, they lied! I read the patch notes for nothing this week!
Mechathune's a neutral.
I know, but you still get it. I'm saying the matchup still stays the same.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, he just discovered Snip Snap. That's nuts.
Well, Firebat was one of the ones in the camp of he thinks overall that the mechs were buffed because he thinks neutral mechs are a lot more powerful than a lot of people do. He was talking about War Gear, Snip Snap, and Ziliax being like, you want those more than you want warrior mechs. And having a higher chance to discover those makes it even better. which I understood, but a Mega Devastator is just so good.
Mega Devastator is really powerful.
It's just so good.
Even like other cards that could be high impact in this matchup, like Beryllium Nullifier, people don't think about very often. However, it does have widespread implications. You can't really interact with the minion with Shield Slam. It's very hard once you start stacking armor and life gain onto it. That being said, it kind of like is appropriate that Beryllium Nullifier got hit with the Discovery nerf, because that means
Okay, then.
Omega Devastator was the way to answer it in the past.
Do you think it was a buff or a nerf?
I think it's a nerf.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
What about the taunts?
Definitely. Absolutely.
That just came down to prove your point. That is atrocious.
Well, 2 mana 2/3 taunts, not entirely unreasonable.
Yeah, but compared to the
upside, yeah.
the past alternatives, wow, we're just getting such a big taste of this right now.
Firebat can stack the board with the snips and the snaps. Can also throw in the Omega Assembly as well. Should be up to 10 cards. He's just counting for good measure. But Snip Snap disappears at the end of your turn.
Wow, he got 2 warrior. Oh, no. Yeah, he got 2 warrior minutes.
Yeah, you got Vicious Scrap Hound and Eternium Rover and Alarmobot. So, utility mechs, but nothing really great. Finds another delivery drone, though.
Because of how many tech cards Warrior plays in
Okay,
general, like
then.
Gallon also has a lot of 1-ups in his deck. Like the Zephyr starts to make more and more sense. Because it's just such a big threat that your opponent has to worry about, whereas like every other game state's almost solved in a Warrior vs. Warrior mirror. Like there's specific things you play around, there's specific things you do, but Zephyr's like throws all those off. Like it feels like you have to be more aggressive at clearing the board. It feels like you can't force out big rules from your opponent like you used to be able to. It's interesting. Very interesting.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
I've got more left in me.
So many cheap minions in Firebat's hand. He's going to go for the Eternium Rover Hero Power to start things off. Okay. Tomb Warden's pretty interesting. It's surprisingly comparable stats to a Bulldozer, even though you might not think about that at first.
Yeah, like a 6/12 that has the benefit of being able to attack multiple targets on the same turn.
Right.
Also has like better defensive capabilities.
Yes. Looks like Firebat is trying to get rid of his 1/1s before the inevitable kaboom eliminates everything.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
And Gallon has like some answers, but they're all kind of meh.
Tomb Warden's not bad.
Tomb Warden's not bad, yeah. Yeah, Tomb Warden's probably the best bet here. I wonder if this gives Firebat the go-ahead to pull trigger on things like Plague of Wrath. He's starting to get to issues where his hand is like hard to play.
Yeah.
Acolytes, not really that useful.
He could also answer with his own Tomb Warden.
It's true.
Tomb Warden double trade,
And Hero
Town
Power.
Crier, and Hero Power is
Yeah,
clear.
that works fine.
Restless Mummy is also the same, and it allows him to dump another card. But there's not really anything that's great to dump.
Yeah, the Alarmobot is just a dead card in the hand because you don't want to play Alarmobot and have it pull out minions whose battle cry you're dependent on. Gallon finds a flunky of his own.
Probably start with delivery drone.
Yep. Ooh, a pinata. I think I like the pinata. Safeguard is also a decent option in this spot. Emphasis on decent.
I like pinata for the gas. Could even get a Zephyrus.
Okay, then.
Equalize the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say so. He would have to wait for a while.
This place is scary.
It is funny how Zephyrs works with Arceus Lysiana, right? You have to play Zephyrs before it, otherwise you just get two copies of a bunch of stuff.
That's true.
Say the magic word.
Kind of funny.
Hecklebots. Hecklebot pulling Zephyrs would be quite the plot twist.
I mean, there's also a bunch of stuff that Firebat's probably been banking on with how aggressively he's been drawing. He hasn't drawn Equal Brewmaster. He hasn't drawn Faceless Manipulator. In fact, he actually doesn't have that many minions left in his deck. He has Hecklebot, Youthful Brewmaster, Faceless Manipulator.
Right. And, I mean, Gallon also has
And Zephyrs.
Hecklebot, so if Firebat picks up Hecklebot, it's going to be a lot of heckling.
And Bot.
Okay, then. Who wants a hug?
No tomb can hold me.
Why does he trades off the non-mech so that way any kind of dynamatic situation won't come back to bite him?
Yep, also trading off his 1 health minions to play around the Kaboom. That's on the other side for Gallon. I wonder if you just pull the trigger on Hecklebot.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Zephyrus, Brewmaster the Faceless.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Woo! Just for reference, Firebat built his entire deck around this one card that was pulled, and now he doesn't get to play it. So that thing is dying. Pretty amusing.
It'd be funny if he
This
still
would be a good
wins.
time for a mirror.
Well, so Firebat doesn't need Zephyrs to win the mirror. He has the fatigue situation under control.
Yeah.
So I don't think Firebat's sweating too much. He also has a pretty decent life lead. He's 31 to 48.
It's kind of an interesting thing to think about. Like, what is Zephyrus there
I love
for?
that fuse.
In general, it's
Yes.
a commanding. It's a way. So the deck doesn't struggle with removal, but Zephyrs could offer removal. But the deck struggles to close games now, and Zephyrs can do exactly that. Zephyrs can because sometimes you end up winning the board through Dynamatics and mechs, and then sometimes you just get the Bloodlust. You're just like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna deal a bunch of damage and win. Firebat looking for a super collider opportunity here. I like it. Ooh, the Hecklebots. That's a spicy pickup too.
Yep. Still the Elysiana in Gallon's deck.
And again, 50 life to 32. That's a very sizable advantage for fatigue. Lysiana drawn for Gallon. That's a big pickup too, so that way it's safe from the Hecklebot. Gallon can go for the Harrison Jones. That's going to equalize a little bit of fatigue. Mega Dillo, but it's a little bit expensive. Not to mention, it doesn't even have the mechs to do the taunts to deal with the follow-up on it. It's like an opportunity for Gallon to go for Hero Power and Eternium Rover.
Yep. Doesn't generate that
This
much
would be a
tempo
good
though,
time for a master
but nothing really
plan.
does. His hand is all reactive except for our Megadillo. And to an extent, Mechathun, sure.
I wonder if part of Gallon wishes that his Arceus Legion got pulled out so he could just go for this Mechathun victory. That would have been a potential blessing in disguise.
Yeah,
Potential.
Yeah. But then Firebat may have been able to go for a faster Mechathune victory with Faceless Manipulator in hand.
I mean, he has to play Elysiana out of his hand.
Oh, that's true.
People kind of, you know, they like to give Mechathune decks grief over how uninteractive the ending combo can be. But one thing's for sure is that dumping your hand right now in the metagame is not as easy as you might think. There's a reason why there's almost no Mechathune decks being played, except for Mechathune Warlock, which has gone 0% this week.
Unfortunate.
Pretty unfortunate, but it happens.
Another snip snap here for Firebat.
I love that fuse thing.
Looks like he's trying to not make himself too vulnerable to Spellbreaker. Which makes sense. Still one in the hand for Gallon. Firebat knows this. As he could have like played this second snip snap, traded that into Harrison Jones and traded that in and pushed face damage, but he's already got a significant life lead. He doesn't want to get tempo swung by a Spellbreaker from the other side.
Shield block, I guess, is an opportunity for Gal. He's not going to win the fatigue race, I guess, in his mind.
I mean, this might be the best opportunity for Plague of Wrath that he's going to get.
Oh, I love
Not that much
fuse
big stuff
thing.
in the deck left for Firebat. It could have use beyond the initial cards in the deck, you know, once you get to the Elysiana phase, but...
Right. I do like using some kind of AoE in this spot because I think it's harder to dump in the hand. It seems like Gallon opting instead of taking it a little bit slower. That 7 damage from the Blast Shield, pretty nice. Firebat's Hecklebot, lined up and ready to go.
Face me, you tempting tyrant.
Light the fuses!
Dynomatic.
Sure. So the Dynamatic. Let's see what else is pulled out here. Another Explodinator. I mean, that's just stuff where it's like board presence and damage to the face.
Yeah, you threaten magnetics on the bombs. Can get you back in the life total a little bit.
Yep. Good trades for Firebat to ensure that he's maximizing his damage. Playing around Warpath a little bit by having a 3/8.
Yeah. Some nice trades. And we're starting to get to that territory. Players are running out of cards. It's almost time for phase 2 of the Warrior Mirror.
Act 2.
I feel like we've seen this play so many times, Dan.
Well, I mean, this is still a tricky situation here for Gallon because he has to really evaluate, like, where his position is in the fatigue race. Because the longer he waits to play Elysiana, the more guaranteed Firebat has the Youthful Brewmaster and the Faceless Manipulator.
I mean, at this point, he can almost assume that it's guaranteed.
Right.
There's only 4 cards left. He draws another one next turn, so both those cards would have to be bottom 3. Now, they are.
How does he win? Like, I think that's what Gallon's... So the earlier you play Archivist, the higher chance that you have for Mechathune to actually activate. That's the only thing that I would argue.
Yeah.
You're at 42 life. Fatigue really isn't going to be the way you win this game. Unless Firebat messes up, and I just don't think he's going to.
No.
Like, that was a brawl, and Firebat could just take it very slow here.
If he takes it slow, then Gallon has one window for Archivist Elysiana. Because Brewmaster and Faceless are bottom 3.
Then instead we just play Ziliax and Hero Power.
Ziliax and Hero Power. I think you kind of got to take it a little bit faster.
Yeah, plus you're cutting down their life total.
Plus, every other card in your hand is pretty much unplayable. Can't play Plague of Wrath, Alarm Bot, Brawls, Acolyte.
Well, yeah, and he's keeping those because he believes that he is the defensive fatigue player. He's going to win if the game goes to the bitter end, which he should. So now back over to Gallon's camp again. I kind of wonder how long can he hold on for. Omega Assembly is cool, but how long is that going to be useful? If he just quadruple warpaths,
Okay, then.
then what?
Now, the difference in quality of Elysiana, excuse me, could be a difference maker, but you can't bank on that.
Right.
You
don't
can't-
get the
you can't be like,
discover
"Ah."
bonus anymore for classes.
You don't get Discover bonus for the class, which one increases the volatility of it. Like usually there's a bigger difference in quality of cards because the warrior cards being in there gave it some consistency, right? The warrior cards being higher weighted. But now it's just
This story
I
deserves
like
to
it.
end.
I think this is the line.
Brightwing. Cobalt Sand Trooper.
I think add a dragon to your hand might be reasonable.
Gruul.
Arena Patron's really funny.
Tanglefur Mystic? I don't know. I have no idea. All right, the choices were Brightwing, the Swamp Dragon Egg,
I like the Dragon Egg.
Twilight Drake, Loot Hoarder, and Militia
I
Commander.
like Loot Hoarder a lot because I think that helps him draw closer to his Mechathune. I think Gal's recognizing that based off the way the pan out is, he's not going to win the fatigue race. There's no way he does.
Firebat's Faceless is bottom
This would
two.
be a good time for a master plan.
Could draw for it.
With Acolyte? Well, he
Yes.
can't because he doesn't have enough mana. You need 7 mana for the combo.
He doesn't need Archivist to die either.
So you clear
This
your
would
own
be a
board.
good time for a master plan.
Hit Warpath 4 times? Trade in or Plague of Wrath. And
I
then-
mean, you're gonna win the fatigue race now anyways. You don't need your opponent Elysiana way before you. I think you just
Okay,
just
then.
gonna zap his own Alarma Bot. Is that really the point of the game that we're at here?
Pain speak to me.
Wait, he drew a card.
I'm almost
Yeah, he wants Elysiana to survive. He wants the Elysiana to survive, and I wonder if that makes Gallon have a setup where he kills his own Elysiana. Like right here, I think if I'm Gallon, I'm pretty tempted to Plague of Wrath. You can play Brightwing first though.
Yep.
Now the mission has become draw cards and hand dump. What's the best way to draw cards? Well, you can't really do much about that.
If you want to hand dump, I don't know if he'd take Brightwing.
Well, he needs stuff to play up until then, because otherwise he's not. I guess you're right, though. He did take Brightwing. There's a chance that he does find tempo options, right? Brightwing could get, you know, a bunch of heavy-hitting dragons. And it also could be Deathwing.
Okay, then.
Deathwing doesn't exactly work well with Mechathune in the same turn, because you can't do it.
Could get a Collie,
Oh, I love that fuse
which
thing.
pulls his Militia. Didn't he pick Militia Commander?
We're friends now.
Yeah.
Hello, friend.
Harrison Jones! That draws cards!
It does. Firebat Soul is a weapons project.
Ah, he's playing it for tempo. I kind of like the Armecadillo in this spot. I want to draw cards with that Harrison.
That's it. I'm out of cards.
Firebat going with the Elysiana bounce. Very cool play indeed. That's where his life total, his advantage there is a pretty huge difference there.
Yep. Now, Firebat just needs to not fall too far behind.
Dragon. So Gallon's got a lot of resource generation.
Yeah, like Dragon Egg also would make sense if he was going on the Mecha'thun plan. Like Loot Hoarder, sure. His other options with the Loot Hoarder were pretty poor, to be fair.
I mean,
Yeah. I think he realized that his option at that point was tempo. Like, just trying to deal damage and tempo him out of the game.
I would even reasonably like Omega. So this is an interesting deviation. Wow, that's really good. Clockwork Goblin's amazing in this spot.
2 warrior mechs, cool.
I would like go into situations with this, like thinking I probably want to Omega Assembly with more cards in the hand, so I get less minions. Dumb.
Yeah.
Again, this is 8 turns away, but a Loot Hoarder can change a lot of that. Firebat's been holding on to Elysiana for a while, so now he ends up going for it. Brewmaster again.
Augmented Elic? Also? Elysiana?
Mojo Master Zehi is very interesting. He picks
Sea
Blackwall
Giant.
Pixie.
Oh, Blackwall Pixie's also interesting.
Right, because you get double delivery drones, double hero power.
Yeah. Ugh, that one's rough.
I actually think the 1-drops are okay because it lets you go for a brawl. But you can also pick upgrade because now Weapons Project is a lot of damage. It's 12 damage.
Arcane Dynamo.
Arcane Dynamo is very interesting.
It's expensive though, but there's a lot of like removal options.
Yeah.
So we pick Youthful Brewmaster, Blackwalled Pixie, Former Champ, Elven Archer, and Arcane Dynamo.
Yeah, Gallon in this spot can fight back for the tempo through
This
Omega
would be a
Devastator,
good
but I think he
time
first
for a
wants to
master
discover
plan.
what's in the mech delivery drone. Another Omega Devastator. TJ! Nothing changed! He just Omega Devastator twice through Omega Assembly and Delivery Drone.
So Omega Devastator went from
It just basically got cut in half, I believe, the percent.
25%.
Oh, I love that
That's what I was told, I thought. Or maybe that was the overall average of
Warrior minions in general.
Warrior minions. Oh, Firebat's got a lot of nothing. Because Elysiana not really discovering quality minions. He did have an opportunity to get higher
This
impact
would be a good
stuff,
time for a master
but he chose to
plan.
keep his deck mainly lean. Looks like he wants to brawl here in this spot.
Looks like he wants to be greedy and just Elven Archer kaboom.
I think this is okay to brawl, though.
One shot, one.
Yeah.
Like we said, picking up the 1-drop so you can brawl, not a bad thing.
It's also had a card to Gallon's hand, which he'll overdraw. What?
I love that fuse thing.
All right, you're okay with that.
Yeah, doesn't need another Dragon Egg. I like the play that jams a lot of stuff. Your opponent just used Brawl, you want to start using other stuff? I mean, your opponent also demonstrated they can't easily deal with Ysera.
This would be a good time for a
It
master
does.
plan.
Oh, so here's what you can also do. You can also Shield Slam the free appearance.
I dream.
I don't think you need anything from your deck, though. It's a countdown. Wait, TJ. What if he picks up Nightmare? He plays Mecha'thun Nightmare. TJ, got the Nightmare!
He has a lot of cards to get through still. A lot of cards to get through still.
This is definitely a Plague of Wrath. Yes, but now he has a guaranteed way to win.
He does if he empties his entire hand and deck.
It's fine. fine. Play your expensive stuff.
He played his expensive stuff, Dan.
I'm so disappointed, TJ.
Sottle right now is probably cheering because he hates when we talk about the Mechathune line in Control
I get it. Look, on average, it loses a lot of the time. I'm just telling you the possibilities, and I'm disappointed. And Gallon also baited out the removal, so now this 10-10 is really hard to deal with.
Yep.
Really well done by Gallon.
Okay, then.
Yeah, Firebat doesn't have a way to answer this.
Not directly.
No, he could go for the Brawl with the Microbots.
Well, what you could do is end up playing Former Champ, and then Gallon extends more to the board by removing it, and then he gets value off the Brawl.
That's true. He's using his
This
life
would be
total
a
as a
good
resource
time for
there,
a
if that's the
master
case.
plan.
But Gallon may not be able to afford a backswing since he's at 26 health as well.
Watch this Alarm Bot win the Brawl.
And then pull Elysiana.
Oh, gosh. Oh no.
Yeah, that's real bad.
Oh, this is cute. Gallon can do this and then silence his Mechathune.
Just use this as mana push 5.
Exactly. This is really, really cute.
Yep. Firebat is out of removal. He has two arcane dynamos in his deck. And that's it. And he won't have mana to play whatever he gets from Arcane Dynamo on the turn.
Yeah, even if Firebat won the Brawl, I don't think he'd be in a good spot.
No, Gallon just has too much stuff.
%16 on the board. He has to hero power here in this spot, or gain armor in some capacity. And without the Mechathune dying, I think Firebat's looking likely to be pushed out of the game.
Okay, then.
Pretty unfortunate that he had all of his stuff at towards the bottom end of the deck. You're looking at Zephyrus and the Faceless and the Youthful Bootmaster, but one may argue, did he wait a little bit too long to get the Archivist out?
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe you're not supposed to go for...
I don't know. It's hard to say, right? Because like Gallon's forced to Archivist early, which means that you're going to win the Fatigue race anyways.
Yep.
You don't need to double Archivist for sure in that spot. Double Archivist feels a little overkill.
It's rare, even when both decks are super slow and have high life totals, that we see a second Archivist come down and actually make a difference in the game. Very rare.
Opportunity here for Gallon to close out with just as Mechathune keeps surviving. Brightwing comes to the hand. Finds a Loosened Bark. It's just stuff to do. Cards to play. Warpath number 2 has been used. Unless Firebat has drawn removal, which is unlikely with the Elysiana, he's in a bad spot.
He's dead.
Oh, he's dead already.
He is dead. He can kill the Brightwing. And then he can Youthful Brewmaster the Elven Archer.
Yeah.
One shot, one kill.
Yeah, but that's going to wrap it up here. Firebat is dead, and the Warrior Mirror goes to Gallon.
Sting like a... I give up.
The Archivist Elysiana, Firebat not coming through. And it seemed like the Highlander deck kind of getting pushed out of the Warrior Mirror off the back of good tempo plays from Gallon, recognizing his position. But
yeah,
you also have to kind of look at the Highlander Warrior. This is why, well, one, some people choose to play things like Sandbinder because it helps you improve your consistency of finding Zephyrus. But you can't take it too slow in the Warrior Mirror because you just have to land tempo advantages and you eventually run out of removal. And I think that is a situation where having 2 Brawls and 1 Plague of Wrath and 2 Warpaths still isn't even enough against Warrior because they're just going to generate things to play.
Yeah, Gallon's timing was very good. Realized that he was okay with risking his Elysiana getting kind of stolen because he knew that his follow-up was insane tempo, and he just rode that all the way to the end. Very well done.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to get into game number 2 between Gallon and Firebat. Stay tuned.
Legends say powerful treasures are hidden everywhere here in Aldum.
If we hope to defeat Rafam, we'll need as many as we can get. He's already unleashed the ancient plague lords and countless monsters. Keep them distracted, Reno.
Not a problem. This plan is totally gonna work. Ain't that right, Finley?
Oh, yes! I have them right where I...
There is an artifact here. The name is...
The scales of justice. Oh, it must be really fancy.
only to be used in a time of great peril. Yes, I think this qualifies.
Hey, look, Finley! You've lured one of the Plague Lords!
Take this, fiend!
In the face! Yeah! Hey, guys! Get that treasure! We've got a Plague Lord to destroy!
Yes, please, hurry!
Not to worry, Finley. We just push this thing right here.
No, that's a trap! Watch out!
It's all good. I am phonily timed.
Gracious me!
What we actually need to do is press this. And there. A fish.
No! It's the scales of justice!
Ah, who wants to use it first?
Ooh, I do! Me! On second thought, maybe give it to Finley?
All you had to do was hold a rope.
Here we go, blaming the tall, ruggedly handsome guy again.
My name is James Kostasich. My handle is Firebat. My username is based off the StarCraft player Firebat Hero. I was a fan of him and watched him on Twitch early on in his career, and then just named myself Firebat because I thought it was cool. Something about me that people don't know, I really hate spending money. I try and save it whenever I can. I recently learned how to repair a dishwasher so that I didn't have to buy a new dishwasher. I like doing stuff like that. I get a really good sense of accomplishment and pride whenever I'm able to salvage something. My favorite Hearthstone Esports memory is winning the 2014 World Championship. That was pretty tough to beat, but I'm hoping that one day I can beat that memory. Being in Grandmasters, to me, means that I get another chance to prove myself and show that 2014 wasn't a fluke and that I am still here to play. I mean, I love playing against my own region because I get to play against a lot of my friends, which is always like really fun and entertaining, and there's so many different mind games. But at the same time, I'd really love to play against Europe and really knock them down a few pegs because they're so cocky all the time. I look forward to winning the most and losing the least. I definitely don't want to lose, and I definitely want to win, so it's really simple.
Gallon turns to Shaman for game number 2 up against Firebat's Highlander Warrior. Let's see if Firebat can turn it around with a matchup that is a little bit trickier to deal with, and maybe because he's playing the Highlander Warrior, it ends up having better matchups against decks that it's considered unfavored against, since you can have the right answers with Zephyrus a little bit more consistently than you can by just hoping that you draw the right removal pieces. That being said, I'm still giving the edge to Gallon here. I want Firebat to do well. I like the risk that he takes by bringing a lineup like this, but I'm leaning towards Gallon here.
Yeah, I think maybe the inconsistency is going to punish him, but the cards that he needs are there. I don't know. There's so many things are a mystery to me because of the Highlander Warrior. Even if you play this matchup a lot, or even if you play this deck a lot, this Highlander Warrior deck, it's still just hard to determine 100% what's better, right? It's all about feeling, because the deck still feels the same as Control Warrior, just sometimes you have a Zephyrus. But the consistency has to mean something, and I think it would take hundreds of games to determine, hundreds of games against multiple matchups to determine whether or not one is better than the other. It's interesting, because it has no other Highlander support besides Zephyrus. So you're only evaluating based off Zephyrus, and he's decided to include a bunch of 2-ups, so it's not even like Zephyrus drawn off the top in most situations is going to get you out of a certain situation because it may not even be active.
Looks like Firebat's webcam's working for game number 2. No jokes, no gags here for this series today. It's all business, as we need to get that victory in order to bring it to game number 3. Gallon on turn 3 having a very meh situation. But the Sludge Slurper can help produce things for Gallon to play into. He's going to be overloaded for 1 if he does end up going for the Sludge Slurper this turn, though.
What to do?
This is a situation where I think playing Sludge Slurper is fine, because even if you're put into 3-man the following turn, you can Bog Slosh the Sludge Slurper. One thing that Bog Slosher is really good at doing is finishing the quest quickly with cheap minions. Even if your Slurper dies, you're able to get some presence on the board. Seems like Gallon also is contemplating going for Mind Control tech in this spot, given that Warrior doesn't tend to extend really far into the board.
It allows him to, if he wants to, protect the Sludge Slurper by going that plus Bog Slosh in the same turn.
Yeah, and it's more stats on the board.
More stats on the board.
So that's like probably the ultimate argument that I think would go for. Man efficiency, most stats on the board. Don't let Warrior get that early game lead. That Snip Snap pickup, pretty big here for Firebat. Early mutate. Finds Halftime Scavenger, a very reasonable card.
Yeah, sure.
Another opportunity to evolve later on, too. Yeah, I like Bog Slosher for sure. Now, Firebat, he has a Super Collider, which is pretty interesting to think about. But it's not like Gallon was exactly hurting for life total. I don't think he ends up usually suffering for life. It's just that it's nice that the Halftime Scavenger stays alive because to fight for board.
Yeah, it doesn't give Firebat the option to kill it off.
There wasn't a Dynamatic clear. I think that's kind of what Gallon was looking at.
Yeah. Okay, Evil Totem. 4 to 6 for quest, so he can complete the quest this turn.
Yeah, he does have the ability to Witchy Lackey after he trades, so let's see what ends up happening there.
Okay. Rifle Smith is a lot of stats.
Now Gallon has to decide how he wants to finish his quest. Or if he even wants to finish his quest. I think you do. I mean, in this position, Youthful Bootmaster and Weaponized Wasp are both fairly valuable cards, but Weaponized Wasp, a little bit trickier to use. And next turn, he can go for maximum Lackey value. Interesting that he snipes the 1/1. It's because he wants to protect, I believe, his minions from Super Collider, yeah.
Ziliax would have been a full board clear, actually. So.
Yep. Warpath here is still effectively a board clear.
Still, yep. Gets to gain a little bit of life in the process.
Yeah, which is pretty massive, given that he's using Super Collider to try and utilize his life as a resource. Well done by Firebat.
perfect sequencing as well. 'Cause you want the armor afterwards.
Right.
I mean, it's such an inconspicuous hand, but it's so powerful in a weird way.
Good stuff from Gallon so far. Ethereal Lackey, Cobalt Lackey.
Yep. He just wants value, value, value. Wants to build a board that requires attention from Firebat while at the same time amassing a hand full of damage and resources.
I wonder.
Just taking some time to think before he plays Ethereal Lackey. Kind of want to take a second to gather yourself and kind of decide what you're looking for. I like the pickups.
Yeah. This may look like it's not possible for Firebat to get a Super Collider clear, but the zero attack minions can attack into stuff. So if he Zilliax, trades it to the 4-3, and then Super Collider 0-2, it's going to attack the 1-1.
I'll leave the 1-1 up.
I'll leave the 1-1 up, sure. But Evil Totem is going to bite the dust this turn. Of course, you could also just simply clear off everything here with the Super Collider attack. He's going to hold on to it. Okay. Seems like, and I think appropriately so, deems it as a valuable resource. And with Tiamat coming up, Firebat should be able to clear off most things that Gallon produces. But that's where things like the Novice Engineer ends up coming to play, because Firebat's running out of resources, and he needs the shield blocks to pull him back in. But each of Gallon's cards can double up. So in this position, Gallon can go for Youthful Brewmaster and more lackeys. Like, he'll be perfectly fine with that.
Give me a bit of.
I like that.
Drink with me,
Yeah, I mean, it kind of gives up a little bit of tempo just because you're getting rid of the Box Slosher buff on the Sludge Slurper. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter.
I forget things.
Ancient Mage, not really that useful. Firebat has the Tiamat ready to go.
Come to my aid.
Kind of like a Wind Fury Rush here, given that there's so many low attack minions. Go for a double clear, stop Barista value.
Yep. But the value does not stop there.
Sure. I mean, the Sludge Slurper can continue to chain off of itself for a while. Witchy Lackeys aren't that great. Ethereal Lackeys, though, on the other hand, they are excellent.
They can be good. I mean, most of these Shaman players are choosing to put a 0-mana Witchy Lackey in their deck effectively.
Engaging TC-130 into dislocator.
Gallon trying to see if he can upgrade the Life Drinker, but it's probably better to Lightning Bolt this down so that Wind Fairy doesn't really come and punish you.
Yep. And I like the way Gallon's playing this. He's prioritizing making sure that he builds a board each turn. Because you don't want to be in a position where you're only accruing value in the matchup, where you're not developing a board, you're just going all in on value. Because then the warrior can develop a board themselves. They don't have to be reactive, and then all of a sudden you find yourself like using Kobold Lackeys in order to just try and remove the board, and that can be a continuous state for so long in the game that you never get a big enough foothold to start pushing damage. Tunnel Blaster.
Tunnel Blaster is very interesting, but it's not mana efficient. Sunwalker is just the best minion stat-wise. Shudderwalk in the hand, but Gallon's overloaded.
I mean, I think you'd be I think you're the one who convinced me about how greedy you should be with Shadowwalk in this matchup.
I am very greedy with Shadowwalk.
I am 100% bought in to your Shadowwalk philosophy.
I kind of like Farsight because I think one thing that is a possibility. Actually, no, you have Shadowwalk.
You have Shadowwalk.
Before, I would say you would. There's a possibility you run out of resources.
Does he have a second Brewmaster in the deck? No.
Plague of Murlocs, Forked Lightning, which can come down now.
He can Farsight into Barista.
Yeah,
A 2-mana Barista is
I'm down.
insane in the membrane.
Earthen Might
Probably
seems to
Earthen
be
Might.
the best overall card.
Yeah.
Then you can Farsight
There's
here.
little time.
I guess you could Plague of Murlocs. Scargill. Wait,
Okay.
you got the Murloc. Ah, there's no Murlocs from Firebat side that you can utilize.
Yeah.
Wait, TJ, if
What?
Firebat had the Youthful Brewmaster Faceless, he could take the Finley. And he could have gotten an upgraded hero power.
Tank up.
I wonder.
It's too bad.
What would you even be looking for?
It's a good question.
Silverhand recruits?
Maybe tank up.
Tank up, Silverhand recruits. Fire Blast, maybe?
Yeah, I would say that's good. I would even argue that the Priest hero power is good.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Firebat thought about Dr. Boom Mad Genius, but said, you know what? Nah. Alright, so with Gallon, we definitely want to play other things like Life Drinker before the Shadowwalk, I think. Especially
Yeah.
because you can dump your hand.
Yeah.
So,
I also think like former champ and Giggling Inventor can sometimes be important.
right.
Just to have like it's board development as well. It's not just resource development.
I do not want to play Shadowwalk in this position.
Me neither.
TJ! They do it, and I get why they do it,
Do you?
but a lot of nothing happens too.
Do you get why?
A lot of nothing happens.
Do you get why? Because I don't get why.
Okay, I guess.
Little touch.
So imagine if I gave you Eviler Miscreant. You got 3 lackeys and like an Ancestral Spirit. Or Ancestral, I would have taken Ancestral Spirit, Ancestral Healing. Now that being said, if Firebat didn't answer it, keeping Shadowwalk on the board is pretty nuts.
Or Barista.
Yeah, so like, oh my goodness.
Yep, nothing changed. Whoa!
I don't know. I do not want to give any chance for opponent to bounce Shudderwalk.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Whew.
Dr. Boom waiting a turn.
Whew.
TJ, there are some
What now?
interesting things happening this game, and I feel like I am too stupid to understand them. The reason why I feel like Shudderwalk's important to play later in the game, from the Shaman's perspective, is that you want to invest things like Life Drinker and other battle cries to affect the board. Force Warrior to use a lot of their removal, and then start bursting them from the hand after you refill on the lackeys. For example, Gallon didn't even have enough hand space to capitalize on all of his Sludge Slurpers that he played.
Yeah.
He ran out of space.
What?
And like, if he's like playing Farsight, playing Life Drinker, whatnot, that's more damage. Every single Life Drinker that you play is 9 damage miss, because you're supposed to play the Life Drinker first, and then you get 6 damage, then you get 3 damage from the Shudderwalk. If you're able to do it again, it's 18 damage. And it's like all these different things that like, it's not just a simple battle cry. That being said, it's not like Firebat's playing traditional warrior either. There's a lot of weird stuff in his deck. So I think Gallon's taking the very safe
A little
approach.
time.
I'm not as big a fan of it as I am of other play that he could go for, but these are all entirely reasonable, and they're mana efficient. I think macro line wise, I would choose to play it a little differently, and I want to see if this works out for Gallon.
I'm in the same boat as you, to be honest.
Now is the time to play Dr. Mad Genius?
This is probably the least power board that you're going to experience.
You are safe from a Bloodlust. There's 10 damage on board, plus 15, making it 5. He's just hoping for, like, no Stormbringer, no Bloodlust.
Yep. I mean, Gallon still has a lot of big stuff in his deck.
He does.
He's
yeah,
got the Mogu Flesh Shapers, he's got the Mutates, Giggling Inventor, former champ Barista.
He's still perfectly fine on the value portion.
Yeah.
And if Shutterwalk generated a big threat, like summon a couple of 5/5s or like even just the 1/2s to keep his boards resilient, I'd be okay with that. But he summoned nothing.
Nothing.
He had to play a Faceless Lackey with it to even summon anything else after.
I mean, with how many tools he still has left in his deck and in his hand, he's probably still going to win. Because Gallon's just going to keep doing this every turn. And eventually, he's going to hit Barista. He's got 2 Cobalt Lackeys in hand, plus Barista.
Maybe.
That is...
There's also a possibility that
24
Firebat
damage.
pulls it out.
That's true. He's got the Heckelbach.
Like, again, this is what we're talking about. It's like Firebat's playing an unusual deck. There's an entire possibility that Firebat hero powers, plays Heckelbot, and just dunks whatever Gallon wanted to play that turn, like Barista Lynchin, and then he loses a huge amount of burst.
Yeah.
And then he'll be hoping that he'd be wishing that he had Shutterwalk.
Ooh. Okay. Well, Firebat's going to use Heckelbot just as a 3/8 taunt for 4 mana.
Sure, it's tempo.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
I think that he can afford to hero power and then play the Heckelbot because he has Omega Devastator. He can rush both of them.
Yeah.
In fact, he even has the Super
Face
Clutch.
me, you egomaniacal Alec.
I hope you like my invention.
That's actually somewhat of a painful pull for Gallon because he would like to have more resources, but not the end of the world by any means.
Yeah, he has one in his hand.
Oh, you're right. Never mind.
He does want hand space in case he draws Barista.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
Job done.
Questing Explorer.
Yep, it's pretty weak.
So probably starting with Novice here. Evaluate.
I
Yeah,
hope
it's
you
got
like my
8
invention.
damage from the Cobalts. 6 damage from the Life Drinkers. I mean, that's 14 damage. It's 14 damage, and he wouldn't have those unless he had played Shutterwalk beforehand, TJ. But if Shaman ends up being short on damage this game, I would feel a little bit like a missed opportunity.
I still think he's going to get there.
Oh, he should be fine.
Yeah.
I still think he's perfectly fine in there, but it's like you give your opponent the possibility of fatiguing you out. It's not likely, though.
That's the first Goblin Lackey we've seen today, or seen in this game. It's been like Witchies and Kobolds.
It's been a lot of witchy lackeys, that's for sure.
Yep.
Pretty reasonable stats.
Double time and double pay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Plus, it's the right way.
I like the holds on the Cobalt Lackeys from Gallon too. He had opportunities there to use them for a pretty good effect.
Ooh, interesting.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking? 2 legendaries? No, it wasn't what you were thinking. All right.
Yeah, I was thinking about how we can utilize his Faces Manipulator later on.
This would be a good time for
Let's
a
first
master
trade it and see what we
plan.
get. Oh! Well, I mean,
I said 2 legendaries.
Yeah. You just get that.
And he gets to do it again.
Yeah.
He gets to trade it in again.
Because it has Rush. Cool.
Very cool. Though he's not gaining life.
I think think Firebat is good.
8. So there's 14 in
no,
hand.
He's very close to death.
15, 16, 17, 18 on board.
Very close to death.
That's full mana expenditure for all that. So if he picks up a Kobold Lackey from the Sludge Slurper, would that be exact? So he's at 18. Or 2 on board. Life Drinker is 8. Kobold Lackey is 16, and then another Kobold Lackey from Sludge Slurper. Yeah, if he picks up Kobold Lackey here, that is game. Oof. Double Faceless. Yeah, would have been exact, right?
I mean, either way,
it's a lot of damage.
It's a lot of damage.
So I'm banking all this damage right now. I want a Life Drinker, and I want an Earthen Might.
What to do?
Gallon has no more life drinkers after this, by the way. No more weaponized wasps.
There is little time.
Mind if I roll mead?
Hard draw. Oh, Tundra Rhino. He's pushing the damage.
That sets up for the Kobold Lackeys next turn.
Yep. Firebat doesn't have the exact removal he needs, but he does have shield block. If your opponent's clearly ignoring an easy trade to protect the board, they're very clearly going to go face. He's been holding 2 lackeys for a while. Firebat should know. What's the best way to clear this? Hero Power clears off 3 of the minions.
Okay,
He just needs to get Warpath. Warpath and Firebat is in the clear for another turn based off what we see.
I think with Omega Devastator, he's also fine.
Yes, Omega Devastator is also very good.
Yeah, Omega Devastator Hero Power is a board clear.
Save the best for last.
That's ridiculous.
And he is alive.
How can Firebat look at that play and tell me that Omega Devastator not being in the pool nearly as much doesn't matter? That's so silly. It just cleared everything.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
I don't know, TJ. Telling me that Shaman still gets there.
Well, he has Barista.
Oh, yeah, he does.
With 2 Kobold Lackeys in hand, if he can hold on to 2 Kobold Lackeys,
it's a lot of damage.
Barista is 24 damage over 2 turns. Because he gets 4 Kobold Lackeys back.
Yeah, I'm not denying it.
Oh!
Oh, never mind. He doesn't have the Youthful Brewmaster. Imagine he gets face manipulator Youthful Brewmaster on that.
But does he want to Earthshock now? Is Earthshock, can Earthshock punish?
Well, I want to point out one thing, is that Firebat hasn't drawn either of his brawls or either of his, or he hasn't drawn either of his brawls. So if he draws Zephyrus, it's not playable.
So there's no rush minions left, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Hero Power whittles everything down to 18 life if he trades with 2 of the minions. He has a board clear available to him this turn.
He does, but I think Firebat realizes that he kind of needs to start applying pressure. So it's how does he clear the board while also...
It's probably Dynamatic here.
His White Man's also not a mech.
Oh, you're right. Forgetting about that.
Yeah.
Let the pain speak to me.
Faceless
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
and trade it.
Yeah?
Yeah. And go face White Mane.
I think he might be worried about the 3 damage, to be honest.
Okay.
Yep.
It's the Barista then, the 1 and 6. Finds the Barista. Gallon gets it. Big damage coming out.
Yeah. I mean, this alone will just put Firebat down to 1 with 3 3 kobold lackeys left in hand.
Double pump Azarano, extra Star Whip.
1 damage off lethal actually
Banana
right
Spice
now.
coming right
Yeah.
up.
Is there anything that Firebat can do in this spot?
No. He needs to gain 12.
He needs to gain 12, and he needs to clear off what Gallon has. But 16 damage from hand. And that's not going to do it. Firebat concedes 2-0 for Gallon. The Shaman takes down the Highlander Warrior.
But
Zephyr's nowhere to be seen.
I mean, you could tell it was close, right?
Yeah, if he didn't draw Barista that turn,
If Barista was his last card,
or anywhere close, like let's say Firebat had 2 more turns, Firebat had tempo options.
yeah, like
And Gallon was gassed out. Like he got the win, which is what's important.
Yeah.
What I'm arguing is that maybe he made his life a little bit more difficult than need to. If Firebat got blast shields,
yeah.
he got none of blast. He didn't get. I don't think I remember seeing one. I think it was maybe 1 at most.
Yeah, he did have 1. The bottom of Gallon's deck was Mogu Flesh Shaper, Giggling Inventor, the second Mutate, a Sandstorm Elemental, and maybe even the second Sandstorm Elemental.
Yeah.
So not much board development, but
Let's go ahead and check in with Gallon. He's
Yeah.
waiting on the line for his interview as he improves his record. Gallon, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, how's it going?
It's going all right. So game number 1, Warrior Mirror. Nice and long battle back and forth. What was on your forefront? What was on the mind for you as you were entering a matchup which looked like Firebat had a lot more late game tech ready to go for this Warrior Mirror?
I felt pretty unfavored going into it. Like my last ray of hope in the early game was when I coined Dr. Boom, and he hadn't played Boom yet because he's on turn 8, and then he played Dr. Boom, so I was like, it's not gonna be a fun game. But then I got a Mechathune, and I was thinking like maybe I can choose out a Mechathune win, and that was kind of like my game plan for a long time. And then suddenly I just hit him in the face for like 10. I was like, maybe I should just kill him instead. I got like ridiculously lucky that series. I pulled like Zephyrus, which I think if I needed to either pull that or Elysiana, and if I didn't pull either of those, I like insta lose the game. I obviously need to win the 1 in 5 brawl, which is like my chances to win were 20% from there. So like I don't think I played particularly amazingly. Like if I had realized that my game plan was just to kill him sooner, I could have picked like a Living Monument instead of Loot Hoarder, I believe. But I was still like in the mindset of trying to cheese out a win with Mechathune. So I think like looking back on it, that was probably a big mistake as well. But yeah, I got the win. Sometimes, the cards fall in your favor.
Got it. Game number 2, you play Shutterwalk pretty aggressively when it seemed like there was an opportunity for you to instead take it a little bit slower. What's the mentality behind that?
I think waiting to juice up Shutterwalk in the Warrior matchup isn't like a great idea, because if you give them backboard, you can pretty easily lose. Like up at that point, I had no defensive tools in my Shutterwalk, really. I had no Giggling Inventor, no Sandstorm Elemental. So if he had like a bunch of stuff in play and I had to play a Shutterwalk and he hits me in the face for like 16, I just don't have enough time. So I figured it's just better to go for like board development when there's like nothing threatening me. And I feel like I got a little bit punished just based on like the lackeys I got afterwards. Like there's a lot of lackey generators that I played, and none of them were like spectacular. Obviously, I was looking for like Kobold Lackey and secondarily Ethereal Lackey. But at the very end, I was just getting like, I got all the lackeys that I wanted in the beginning and the end. I got all the lackeys I wanted in the end and the beginning, pretty much. So it was just funny how that worked out. There's definitely some merit to holding onto the Shutterwalk. I just like playing it there because tempo equals good. And
yeah, 9-mana 6/6 is great. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think it worked out really well, and based off of the pan out, I think it definitely showed in your favor. Because if Barista came in any earlier, I think the game plan would have come together much quicker. I was a little scared though that you're running low on resources. And,
oh yeah, same. Well, the pan out like was definitely something where I probably had 1 or 2 more turns. I think after that I could beat 1 blast shield, but not 2, and I also could like beat 1 turn of him developing board and me not developing it, but like not 2. So maybe 3 turns max. But
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, his hand. I mean, he is playing a Highlander deck, which is like full of reactive cards. I think that's probably another thing too. He's not playing like Armageddillo and Tomb Warden type stuff, which can like really start to turn the tides. He's just like, I have Spellbreaker and Harrison and Restless Mummy and like all these things that like can kind of do some stuff, but not really against Shaman.
But
It's a little
Zephrys
bit
can
awkward.
be anything.
If he ever draws it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Firebat. I think
Well, it
him and
can't be
Zephrys
Master
is-
Spell. It can't be Master Spell.
It can't be Master
We've
Spell,
established one thing is that Zephrys just never gives you Master Spell.
but it can be anything else.
Yeah.
As long as it's in classic. Definitely can't be Mossy Horror.
Yeah. Well, we're running out of time. It's a pretty long series, Gallon. Any last
Yeah,
words you want to say here?
Yeah, don't keep me for too long. Overall, I thought actually Bat played a bit better than me in that series. So, I'll probably talk with him about it after the game ends. Obviously, like, game one was kind of just a throwaway game based off the brawl, but he probably has, like, a lot of insight. So I'm going to ask him about it later. So, yep, thanks a lot. Good 2-0. See you next week.
All right. Take it easy.